Another comment, Peter Fox. I loved bed. No, I had to ask you what this was. I loved bed knobs and broomsticks. Now I have reservations about letting my kids watch it because of the spells and witchcraft. I am torn. Let me try to untorn you, seam you back up. The reason I don't know what bed knobs and broomsticks were. Braxton filled me in. Maybe you want to fill in everybody.
It's not that important.
But the question about Christians and things about witchcrafts and spells and stuff, it's important to remember that whether we're talking about Lord of the Rings or whatever, things like that. I say err on the side of caution. What are they trying to communicate? What worldview are they trying to communicate using spells and witchcraft as a vehicle for telling the story, right? Because in Lord of the Rings, cosmic good and evil, Christian themes, all that, the spells and stuff, the magic, right? Same with the Brothers Grimm, and a lot of fairy tales and Christian stories are trying to teach Christian values and worldview. Use that as a tool to tell a particular story that actually can be in alignment and agreement with Christian ethics, morals, values, and even gospel themes and everything else. Now, I would say things like Lord of the Rings, for example. If you noticed, there's not an approval or disapproval, but more of a neutral stance that this is just part of the world we created. So it's just a natural part of this world building. That's in a different category as something that wants to, because the Bible does talk about this, right? This is not like Santa Claus, how far can you go with teaching about Easter bunnies and all of that. Because the Bible does have something to say about practicing spell casting and divination and all of these other things, witchcraft and all that. So you have to be careful. Because if you're viewing content that celebrates the wickedness of the magic, instead of just taking this as part of the world, this is part of the world building, and it's a vehicle to help tell a story. But if you're watching content that celebrates,
well, here's a question. Here's
the witchcraft lifestyle.
Well, Pritchett,
that's probably content that you should not have reservations and probably not let your kids. Whereas if it's just worldview indifferent towards magic, but it's just a storytelling vehicle.
If you think Wiccans had something to do with it, stay away from it, right? Is that what you're saying? Here's the thing. Back to Bono, man. You opened this Zooropa's box here, so I'm going to tell you now.
Come on.
I mean, because we're going to end this show with or without you, Bono.
Yeah.
And it's a weekday, but if it was Sunday, we'd do it on a Sunday, Bloody Sunday.
That's
it doesn't
right.
matter. We're going to have this one show,
right.
And we're going to do this in the name of love. And the thing about it is, Bono on the Zoo TV tour.
Whether we're in the studio or walking around the streets with no name, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
We might be stuck in a place, stuck in a moment, that we can't get out of in a live stream.
Right.
But in this city of blinding lights, I want to make a point.
I'll bring it back to your book.
Before I start to
the one book you've refused to
before I start to experience vertigo, you two did do a tour called the Zoo TV tour in the early 90s, and Bono dressed up as a character that he called Mr. Mephisto. He was Satan embodied as a worn-out pop star in platform shoes and wore horns. And famously, he said that the influence for this was C.S. Lewis's The Screwtape Letters, because mock the devil, he said. And what he would do is on stage, he would call the White House every night from the show, and he would always say things that Satan would say to make fun of the idea of the enemy, not to try and speak positively about it. But now you're laughing at, I don't want my waist to look like a busted can of biscuits.
You can't see that because of the other text, yeah.